All right, so welcome to the concluding lecture on the rise time and fall time calculations. So, until now, we have already seen the variation of the voltage with the time. Okay, so voltage that means I'm especially referring to the output voltage. Okay, so this is VO as a function of time t on the x-axis. Okay. So these are the set of equations which we figured out for the rise time. That means when the voltage is increasing, and the fall time when the voltage is decreasing from VDD to the zero. Okay. Now, for our calculations and for our symmetric operation of our devices, depending on the application, we are going to choose what value of x we are going to consider for the logic low and the logic high. So that means for symmetric operation, we will ensure that this much amount of this range of output voltage we will consider as logic 0. This range of output voltage we will consider as logic 1. It's very simple. Now, so this part and this part, this range, high logic range and the low logic range of VO should be equal if we are essentially looking for a symmetric operation, right? So if this is X, what is this X? X is basically a percentage of the total rail to rail voltage. 0 to VDD में कितना percentage है? Suppose we say that X is like 15% of VDD. In a particular application, we can say like that. Okay. So if we say that X is 15% of VDD, that means X will be 0.15 of VDD. Correct. Now, depending on the technology node, if VDD is equal to 1, it will essentially boil down to 0.15 volts. So I'm not going into all those nitty-gritties. All right. So now, if this is X VDD, then we have to essentially find out the instances when this output voltage is crossing this particular line here and this particular line there. Let me just use a different color. So this particular point over here where it is crossing this one when the VO is crossing 1 minus X VDD value, and the point where the VO is crossing X VDD value. Okay. So what we have to do is, if we can essentially find out the instances where VO is crossing X VDD and the instance where the VO is crossing 1 minus X VDD, that will essentially give us this T2 and T1. And therefore, the rise time will be defined as, for that particular application, remember, this X is essentially a variant depending on the application which we are considering, all right? So this rise time TR will be defined as the difference between T2 and T1. Okay, very simple. All right. Then comes the next part, which is the fall time. So if you notice, the set of equations which are written under this column of rise time, they are all relating to the TP, VTP. That means we are essentially referring to the P MOSFET over here, because P MOSFET is the reason why the output capacitance is essentially getting charged. Okay. And fall time TF is essentially referring to all the N MOSFET terms, that means tau N and VTN. Therefore, we are referring to the N MOSFET over here, because N MOSFET is the reason, that is a pull down transistor, is the reason for the reduction of the output voltage from VDD to the ground. Okay, that part is clear in our previous lectures. All right. So now, during the fall time, we'll have to again figure out the instances. That means we have to find out the time T3 when the output voltage is crossing this 1 minus X into VDD line, and when the VO is crossing X VDD value. Okay, so these instances are T3 and T4. Obviously, the fall time will be defined as T4 minus T3. Okay, now what is important for us to understand is that whether to use this equation or this equation in order to calculate T1 and T2. Similarly, in order to calculate T4 and T3, which of these two equations we are going to use. So that will essentially depend on the concept which we have seen previously. That is, the linear saturation boundary. That instance happens to be this TB equal to 2. TB is the bound. B stands for boundary, right? So the linear saturation boundary occurs at the instance of TB when TB equal to 2 tau P. This was derived in the class. Okay. Now, clearly this TB will be larger than T1 and less than T2. Similarly, the same over here. TB will be somewhere in the middle. Okay, it will be larger than T3, it will be lesser than T4. Okay, TB will be somewhere here. TB will be somewhere here. All right. So once we have that in our consideration, then we can clearly understand that when we are specifically doing the calculation for TR, that is the rise time, T1 happens when the P MOSFET is in saturation. As you can clearly understand that the output voltage is increasing very rapidly over here. The slope is very high compared to this one. So intuitively also we can understand that there is more current going in this T1 than close to T2. Okay, so essentially meaning that more current means saturation, and over here less current means linear. Okay, that is also an intuitive way of looking at this. But other than that, mathematically also we know that if TB is somewhere in the middle, in the beginning of the transition, it will start out with the saturation region. Okay, so T1 happens to be the saturation region. Okay, so what we will choose, we will select the first equation here because that is the saturation equation. Okay, all we will do is we will replace VOT by this particular value XVDT, and this T I will put as T1. Okay, that's exactly what we did over here. Okay, this is the VO, this is instead of T I have written T1. So I'm essentially trying to find out the value of T1 when X is provided to us, because depending on our application we know what percentage of VDD we are going to consider as the range for logic low and logic high. All right, so that is already known to us depending on the application. Okay, right, so then from there it's very simple. T1 is given by this value. Okay, then we will go for the T2. Clearly, T2 will go for, we will basically select the equation for the linear region of operation, which is essentially derived in our previous lectures. Okay, so all we will do now is instead of VOT, we will put 1 minus X VDD, and instead of this T over here, as you can see, I'm highlighting it, this T becomes T2. That's exactly what I've done here. Okay, this is the T2, this is 1 minus X VDD. Then this 1 into VDD and this VDD will cancel. This minus and minus will also cancel. So you are left with this simple algebra, and finally you reach out with this expression for T2. Okay. Now, what is the final definition of TR? Okay. So here what I shall do is I should actually write with the equivalent sign. Okay. Because this is how it is defined. So the rise time is defined as TR is equal to T2 minus T1. Okay, na? So T2, T1 also we have got here, T2 also we have got here. So TR will be equal to T2 minus T1. So I'm just copying this entire thing over here. The only thing is that instead of TB, I have replaced the value of TB with what we had already seen in our previous lectures. That is, TB is equal to the instance at which the transistor moves from saturation to linear. Okay, now I have just written that TB value over here, copied it, and here if you notice this is minus T1. T1 is this expression over here, which I have again copied it. Okay, interestingly, notice that X VDD, X is usually very small, right? So X will be like 10%, 20%, 15%, something. So this, if X is very small, then obviously this X VDD is going to be much smaller than VTP. Remember, VTP and VTN is close to 50% of VDD. Okay, so if VDD is 1 volt, VTP or VTN will be, mod of VTP or VTN will be around 0.5 or something. Okay, 0.5, 0.4. So with that, with respect to that, this X is essentially going to be much less than VT. Obviously, it has to be, right? Because VT is the point where it will be roughly close to the half of VDD, as I said. Okay, so I have just rearranged it, and we have seen that mod of VTP minus X VDD, this is the final expression of the rise time. Okay, now we will do exactly similar calculation for the TF, that is the fall time. So if it is fall time, then we will essentially refer to the equations for the N MOSFETs, which are also derived in our previous lectures. So I've just copied those equations here. And by the concepts, what we will understand is we will again go by the same procedure and find out the instance T3 where the VO crosses this 1 minus X VDD, and the instance T4 where the VO crosses the X VDD instance. All right. And then we will take the difference between the two, T4 minus T3. That will essentially give us the fall time. Okay. Now, similar to the previous one, for the rise time, we have to essentially get concerned about which of these two equations we are going to use. Okay. So notice T3 is the instance where the VO has started falling from VDD to the ground. So if it falls, so that means it is essentially going to be a very sharp fall initially. So that means saturation region. So we will choose the saturation equation. Okay. So all we will do is we will replace this VO over here by this 1 minus X VDD and T with T3. Right. So that's what I've done here. All right. 1 minus X VDD and this is T3. Obviously VDD and this 1 will cancel, minus and minus will cancel, and you are left with this. Okay. So as expected, this T3 expression is exactly similar to T1. Okay. If you see, this T1 and this T3 are exactly similar, except that tau p is replaced by tau n and VTP is replaced by VTN. Okay. All right. Then we come to the next part, the instance where the output essentially reaches X VDD. So this is again becoming the linear region. So linear वाला equation use करेंगे. Okay, this one. Okay. So what we should do is X VDD instead of this VO. As you can see, this VO is crossing this X VDD value at T4. Okay. So I will just replace VO by X VDD, and this T I will replace by T4. Okay, that's what we have done here. So from there, I have done some basic algebra and obtained the value of T4. Okay. Again, as expected, this T4 is very much similar to the T2. Notice TB, okay. If you notice, TB tau n replaced by tau p, ln 2 by x 1 minus VTN replaced by mod of VTP, and this. Okay, so it's exactly similar. So finally, what is the expression for TF? Again, replacing TB by the value of the instance of the linear saturation boundary which we had obtained in our previous lecture, we essentially end up in the same kind of expression for the TR. Okay, so clearly you can understand that if we can somehow make tau p equal to tau n and mod of VTP equal to VTN, you are going to have the same values of TR and TF. Okay, so once we have obtained the model, the equations for TR and TF, what I shall do is I'll again use Python. Okay. The reason why I prefer to use Python is that it will essentially, I'm not going to use any specific kind of intuitive approach over here. Okay. Wait, I'll share the whole screen. That's better. Right. Inverter switching. Okay. So here I have essentially written down those equations. I hope you can see this. So here what I'm showing you is this. So notice that this part here is the value of x, which I can choose according to my requirements. Okay, so let's see this. Just run it. X equal to 0.1. All right, I got it. I made a few changes here. That's why it's taking. Right. So what are the things I will just finish the graph later. Okay. So what are the things we have chosen? We have taken a time period of 20 picoseconds. Okay, this is a 20 picoseconds one. All right. So here, if you notice, this is given over here, 20 picoseconds. So if I am, so my approach is, we have essentially developed certain equations here. That is the TR, this is the TF. Now, I'm just trying to calculate the different values of TR and TF, and I shall plot it. I shall figure it out from the various plots. Okay. So what are the standard values I chose? That is similar to the ones which we used in the previous few lectures. So the output capacitance is 1 femtofarad. Okay. Threshold voltage is 0.5 volts. Beta is 1 milliampere per volt square, and the time period is 20 picoseconds. All right. So using that, I'm essentially plotting the situation only for one time period. All right. All right. So now, in fact, I have noticed that in your VLSI design, and most of you are tempted for showing multiple time periods, which makes no sense. So in your project also, whenever you are trying to show the um, rise time, fall time, delay calculations and all that, do not show like 10, 20 or hundreds of these time periods. It's so foolish. You should show just one time period because it should be periodic anyway, isn't it? So the uh, so if I essentially show 100 time periods, these finer details will be missing. So in other words, when you are publishing a technical paper, when you are going to present a technical paper to someone who knows this, who are experts in this, or those who know the subject, they will actually consider it as a very bad thing if you will show like 100 time periods. That means they will say that you are trying to hide some information, some vital technical information by showing 100 time periods. For example, what is the vital time like information over here? Is this rise time, fall time? That is what we are trying to calculate. Excuse me. So in this case, what we can see is that suppose I have put tens of this. So this region, this is around what? How much? like 2.5 picoseconds or so, that will essentially be reduced a lot, isn't it? You can hardly make out. So you are trying to kind of hide information from your experts or technical people. Don't do this. Okay, this is something which I have seen. For example, in today's lecture also, I have shown just one, but many of you are tempted to show like this. Sorry. Many of you will, in spite of telling you this right now, you will again come up. I'm going to see this in your uh, project. Many of you will. I really get annoyed with this. How much? I mean, how will you basically understand what is the uh, rise time, fall time over here? What are the delays? No point at all. You simply make the whole scale like this, or simply from here to here, one time period. Only then it will essentially become like this, and you can figure out clearly what are the information about the delays. Okay, don't put multiple time periods in your graphs. It basically shows that either you are uh, stupid, so to speak, or else you want to hide some data intentionally. So don't do it. I mean, if you are publishing, if you are trying to publish in very good journals like Transactions and all that, they might even reject your paper if you do like that. Okay, that was your word of caution. All right, so let's get back. So I'm showing you only one time period over here. And then I have, as you can see, I have simply used the equations which I have uh, derived. All right, so now, first thing, if you, I have shown 0.2 over here. So if you are essentially looking for a 20% low and high values, okay, so if by the way, I have chosen VDD equal to 1, so that is the uh, standard in 45 nanometer technology node. So as I said, in throughout this course I will primarily be referring to 45 nanometer technology node, that is essentially i7 processor. Okay, so later on, as we go along, then we will go to the FinFETs and 14 nanometer technology nodes later on. Okay, so in 45 nanometer is 1 volt. All right, so if it is 45 nanometer technology node 1 volt, then zero point 0.2 volts, so 0 to 0.2 we will consider as logic 0, 0.8 to 1 we will consider as logic high. All right, so now comes the most important part which I wanted to show using this Python code. If I'm choosing 0.1, as you can see, your rise time, fall time will obviously increase. Okay, this is the rise fall time, this is the rise time. Okay, and this range has also reduced. Okay, makes sense. So what happens with this, with 0.1? What is the advantage you will be getting? So you can essentially choose 0.2 also, depending on the particular application. However, it's not mandatory that you have to choose zero point 0.2 or 0.1. Preferably, people use, like, if nothing is specifically mentioned, then we will choose 10% of VDD. That is 0.1. Okay. So now, if it is 10% of VDD rather than 20% of VDD, what is the advantage? Can anybody tell me now? As you can see, if I take 0.2, you just notice this has increased. Okay, and essentially your rise time, fall time has reduced. So you will be thinking that, okay, wow, that is a good matrix which we are getting. We will essentially be gaining in terms of the, we can report that our delays are less, right? So this is your delay here, rise time, and this is the fall time. And of course, rise time, fall time are the same because I have chosen VT to be the same for NMOS and PMOS over here. So this is essentially less, right? So if I make it to 0.1, just notice here, this is increased. Okay, so that means you are essentially saying that, okay, wow, with 10% we are going to represent as if we are having a larger delay, but still 10% is preferred over 20%. My question is why?
Noise margin increases, sir.
Exactly. So how does noise margin increase over here? Notice this is only the time time axis, right? So यहाँ पर vi का value कहाँ है? The thing is,
Dotted
uh,
line.
huh? This dotted line. No, this is only telling you the VO only. Remember the situation which I had discussed earlier. Okay. So this is VO, this is VDD, this is 0. So what we are suggesting is that if X is 10%, okay, so this is your X VDD. So here will also be X VDD. This is 1 minus X VDD. Therefore, this range remains the same. However, this is all referring to VO itself. Noise margin has to go with the VI value. So this is going to be your VIH, VIL. Okay. So if you are reducing this XVDD, so if you are reducing XVDD, what happens? Your noise margin. What is this? VIL and this? This XVDD we can basically refer to as VOL, and this 1 minus XVDD I can refer to as VOH. So VOH minus VIH, this is essentially your noise margin high. This is your noise margin low. Okay, so if you are reducing this XVDD, X if you are reducing, you are essentially referring to that VOL, you are trying to move more and more towards 0. Remember when we were discussing about the noise margin classes, I said that ideally VOH should come to VDD and VOL should be ideally to 0. Yes or no? Remember? So that means we are essentially saying that that is the easiest way of putting the noise margin as high as possible. There are two ways of increasing noise margin, right? So आप VOL को 0 करो, VIL जितना हो सके बढ़ाओ, VIH को जितना हो सके कम करो, VOH को जितना हो सके बढ़ाओ. तो VOH को बढ़ाने का क्या मतलब है? How are you going to increase VOH? Reduce X. Here also reduce X. So VOL will be reduced. Okay, everyone. Huh? So that means when we were discussing about noise margin, just a few lectures ago, we were thinking about how to reduce VIH and how to increase VIL. So now from the switching rise time analysis, we have understood that okay, we can also deal something about the VOH also. How to deal with VOH? आपको क्या करना है? You can essentially reduce the fraction of VDD which you are choosing as logic high or logic low. Okay, everyone? Huh? Excellent. So now we come to a very, very important concept. So what are the take-home messages? Like we have done a lot, but the last one, the last important thing what we have understood is that how to increase the VOH? You have to reduce the value of X or the percentage of VDD which you consider as logic low or the logic high. 1 minus X will be logic high, obviously. Okay, that will essentially increase the noise margin. Fine, very good. Ideally, this X should be, let us say, as low as possible. So that means VOL should be as low as possible. So X can be 10% only. So that is the industrial standard. Okay, let's get back to our code once again. Now, what we can do is, notice I have chosen here one. So, okay, everyone is with me right now. Now we will
Yes, sir.
understand. Yeah, excellent. So now we are going to understand it from a different perspective. One very new important concept will be clear. So if we have chosen it is 0.1, okay, because we have to also, so there are a couple of things over here. So one is that we have to also increase the noise margin. We can also, but we also need to increase the operating frequency. Okay, so in this case, if we notice that if we choose 0.1 over here, as I have shown, 0.1, x equal to 0.1. अगर x equal to 0.1 लेते हैं, that means only we will consider 10% of VDD to be the logic low or logic high. Okay, so now if it is 10% VDD, then the moment this VO crosses this 10% line, that means ये 90% VDD जब भी cross कर रहा है, then that means we say that it is already at logic high, isn't it? Then this additional part, that means obviously you can understand this is T1, this is T2, this is T3, this is T4. So the portion of this T3 minus T2, if I go back to this one over here, so this is T2 and this is T3, right? So this region is totally wasted because we already know that we have reached the logic high already. I know. So we don't need this amount of space, time frame, which is kind of wasted. So what we would try to do is, if we can reduce the time period, this is capital T by 2, time period to such a manner that this dot essentially coincides with this dot, then what will be the situation here? So all I'm suggesting is, if we can make this whole thing, I'll reduce it in such a manner that this red will essentially merge with this one. Then also our noise margin and everything will be perfectly all right. I know, because we can see this is logic 0 when it is x VDD. वहां से बढ़ते हुए, the moment it reaches 1 minus x VDD, it is logic 1. Then after that, we will decrease the VO value until it reaches x VDD once again. Then second thing is, for example, this particular part, this one will essentially merge over there, and this is what we will get on this end. Okay, so rather I'll choose this. Okay, so this T2, what I'm suggesting that this T2 and T3 will coincide. So T2 will become equal to T3, and this T4, what does it become? T4 will be shifted over here. This will be the new T4. That is the instance where this rise time and fall time will meet. Makes sense? Okay. Then what is going to be our time period here? The time instance when it is crossing T1, यहाँ से लेकर the time period when it crosses this x VDD. Okay. So what is the new time period over here, Naren? This is your TR, T2 minus T1, and this is your T4 minus T3. This is T4 minus T3 is here. So this is how much? Okay, let's just, here is one and there is one. Okay, so how much is this? As you can see, from T2 minus T1 is TR, T4 minus T3 is TF, all time. So what is the new time period which you can, the minimum time period you can get is T minimum will be equal to TR plus TF. Correct? Therefore, what is the maximum operating frequency for this? Okay, right? So if I want to understand this more like accurately, mathematically, so what I shall do here is, I mean, what we have learned over here is physically, this intuitively, this is very clear. Okay, so now let us do, I mean, 100% mathematically. All I'm going to do is I am going to reduce the capital T over here. ठीक है, तो कैपिटल टी को कितना कम कर सकते हैं हम लोग? अगर 10 कर देते हैं. Okay, there is a problem in my code, otherwise it should have started out with the maximum over here. I wrote here VDD, so it should not be VDD, it should be the maximum at this point. Anyway, that's not the important thing. So what you understand here is, notice that this point is T1, this is T2, this is T3, this is T4. Again, this T2 and T3 should be the same, so we can reduce even further. So what is the time period now? 10 picoseconds. Initially it was 20, right? So let us reduce even further, 9. there is a gap. So this gap is a wastage. Okay, so this T3 minus T2 is the wastage. Okay, come over here. As I said, T3 minus T2 is the wastage. So ideally, I will make this difference between T3 and T2 to be 0. That means T3 equal to T2 कर देते हैं. तभी आपका minimum time period पहुंच जाएगा. ठीक है? So here I'm essentially trying to do that. इसको और time period और कम कर सकते हैं. चलो 8 कर देते हैं. Let's see. Wow, it's almost close. Okay, so as you can see, the time period is essentially reducing, and what it means is you are effectively increasing the maximum operating frequency. Okay, everyone. So several things we have understood today. The first one is that why is it preferred to have this X value close to 10%? I mean, that is the close to 10%, 10% ही रखते हैं, but industrially that is the standard of 10%. But why should you keep X, that is the fraction of this VDD, as a low and high value, to be as low as possible, so that your noise margin is increased. So that is the easier way to reduce the VOL and increase VOH. And when we were dealing with the noise margin analysis, we had seen that how we can reduce VIH and how I can increase VIL. In fact, in the best possible scenario, हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? VIH and VIL can actually meet together. Then ideally, what is the case? आपका noise margin will come out to be, the maximum possible noise margin will be VDD by 2. आपने X को भी बहुत VDD के पास, I mean X will be very very close to 0, 0.05 कर दिए. Okay, and then VIL and VIH are also very close to VDD by 2. Then your noise margin will be VDD by 2. That is the maximum which you can achieve. Yes or no? Your circuits will be extremely robust. Okay, so now what we shall do is we will do a very simple process. That is the industrial standard, or should I say industrial standard. Yeah. Okay, so this is the exact theory whatever we have done. Now the TR and TF, and then we developed using the Python code also. अभी industrial standard approximation करें. Now the first thing is that I had already discussed in our previous lecture, I think. When we are essentially trying to figure out the rise time, fall time, okay, we have seen that we are considering that this P MOSFET, okay, this is the rise time, of course, IS. This P MOSFET, MP, that is in both saturation and linear. Correct? When we are dealing with the fall time calculation, this is your circuit. Okay, this is VO, this is VO. Okay, now during the fall time also we have seen that the transistor is going in both saturation and linear phases. Okay, that's how we got this, right? So there are two different equations and exact calculations we have done. But in industrial standard, they are essentially doing a calculation based on something very interesting. Number one is that I had already highlighted this in our previous lecture, so let's just recap. uh, what is the like during the entire transition, if you notice, let's say the fall time itself, during the saturation region, the current, okay, is the highest. That is the reason why it is flowing very sharply. So that means the time duration spent in the saturation region is very less compared to the linear region. As you can see over here, so your TB will be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so this much duration in the saturation and this much in linear. Similarly, if it is in the middle here, so this much in saturation and this much in linear. So if you are simply thinking about the probability, okay, if you are simply thinking about the probability that the what probability that the transistor is in the linear or saturation in terms of the time, how much duration the transistor is in the saturation or linear, you will always find the transistors are mostly in the linear region during the transition. Okay, that is one very important observation. And then, secondly, what is the second logic over here? So, okay, I do not know in which class I taught that. Was it in the last class? Right here. Okay, in our last class itself, I had explained all this. So, number one, the first concept was this was the last lecture. Okay, so the first condition was that I'll just write it here. Every transistor spends most duration of the transition in its linear region of operation. ठीक है, ये काफी important है. Very good. What is the second one? Now, when one of these transistors is in linear, the other was in saturation. How did we know this? We will get back to our uh, noise margin wala curve. That is the VTC. This is VO, this is VI. Remember that this was the middle line. This was essentially like this. We had seen the other line was this and this. Okay, this was VO plus mod of VTP equal to VI. This is VO equal to VI, and finally this is VO minus VTN. Obviously, as you can see, when Vi is equal to when VO is equal to 0, I think I made a mistake, right? This will be VO plus VTN. Okay. When Vi is equal to when VO is equal to 0, Vi is equal to VTN. Yes. And here it will be like this. Okay. When Vi is equal to 0, VO is equal to VTP. Correct. ठीक है ना? So what we have seen is that anything below this line is essentially referring to VO being less than VI plus VTP. So this is the part where MP was linear. Okay. This is the part where MN was linear. Okay. So everything below this line, MN is linear. Everything above this line, MP was linear. Okay. And in between, both of them are in saturation. Okay. This is something which we have studied already. So what we understand is in one, except this small region over here, when both of them are in saturation, one of them will always be in either linear, the other one will be in saturation. Okay. So what we have understood is that during this transition between VDD to ground, हमने देखे कि every transistor, whether it is MP or MN, they will be spending most of the duration of the transition in its linear region of operation. ठीक है. तो जब ये linear में है, दूसरा will always be in saturation only. ठीक है. Now, as we saw in our previous class, so if you are looking at the resistance seen from resistance seen by the capacitor, जैसे कि यहाँ पर when this current is flowing, IS is flowing to charge up the output capacitance. Okay, so what is the scenario? During the transition, notice both the transistors are switched on. So there is also going to be this. There is also going to be this. So for simplicity's sake, we had chosen that, okay, the other current is so low, we will just ignore. But notice that still during the transition, as I said, there is, I mean, during the transition, even if we say it is sub-threshold and all that, but I'm not speaking about the sub-threshold. Even if you say that sub-threshold may, I mean, it is almost like cut off. So that means, let us say between here and here, the currents are very low. But between the transition, both the transistors are at least switched on. Now we have to decide whether the current which is lost through this Rn and the current which is essentially the being used for charging up the capacitor. So this current, the red one which I have drawn, is always much less than the charging current here and the discharging current over here. So in this case, when ID is much larger than the red one IS, it will be the discharge. And over here, when IS is much less than ID, okay, then it is charging current. Okay, so in our previous calculation, जो भी हमने किए हैं ना, what we have done is that we have ignored the current ID with respect to IS. So that is the reason why. That is the reason why we will say that during the charging phase, the capacitance is simply having this IS current itself. Similarly, during the discharging phase, we will say the capacitance is only having the ID current during the discharging phase because of these two things. But remember that none of them other is basically switched off. In fact, we have seen that even in the cutoff region, it's not switched off. It is going to have an exponential current. ठीक है ना? So that means there is always a race between this IS and ID. Okay, everyone with me? So the industrial standard mein, what industry people have thought is that when you are looking at the net effective resistance seen by the CO, okay, then obviously we will choose whichever is the minimum resistance of the two. Think about it. Whichever is the minimum resistance of the two. Okay, here also minimum resistance, obviously. Okay, so in that aspect, if you notice, what is the R minimum? Will simply be the net effective R, which is seen by the output capacitance will be the minimum of R, Rp and uh, Rn. Okay. Now, if the resistance, we will be having Rp and Rn, but the P MOSFET and N MOSFET, one of them will be in linear, the other one will be in saturation. Okay. So if that is the scenario, most of the time it will be like this. That is the first thing which we have understood already. That is the first point I have written here. Okay. So if one of the transistor is in linear, other one is in saturation, out of them, which of the two which of the resistance, which transistor will have the higher resistance? Remember that in the saturation region, the current is becoming saturated. So it is, that means what? Uh, it is only due to the channel length modulation it is going to have some slope, or otherwise if you ignore the channel length modulation, it is going to have R out will be infinity in the saturation region, correct? So that means the saturation region resistance will be very, very high. But we have seen we have to take the minimum of the two. So what is the minimum? Only the resistance which is in the linear region. Okay. So what is the expression in the linear region? Y is VOV n minus VDSN into VDS. Okay. So when VDSN is low, okay, then we can ignore this VDSN square term. That will essentially leave you, that will essentially give you Rn. Remember, this is linear. Okay, this is a linear equation. Will be given by what? Twice beta n VOVN. Okay, everyone. So this is the resistance which is being seen by the capacitor, whether it is rise time or fall time. So once we know this, so what is the industrial approximation, industrial standard approximation, industry standard approximation? It's not industrial. Okay, it should be industry standard. Yeah, that's better. What is the industry standard approximation? That anyway one of the two transistors. So what is the logical thinking out here? Anyway, one of the transistor is going to be always in the saturation, and the other one will be always in the linear. Any one of them will always be in linear, other one will be in saturation during transition. I'm telling you, during between these two red lines. Okay, when the logic level is stable, then one of them will be in subthreshold. Only leakages will be there. I'm not speaking about that region. Okay, after I finish this, I will go into power consumption. Then we will see about the leakages. Okay, so now, so since one of them will be in linear, the other one will be in saturation, so the net effective resistance seen by the output capacitance will only be due to the linear region. The transistor which is in the linear region will determine the net effective output resistance seen by the output capacitor. Okay, whether it is pull up or pull down, whether it is rise time or fall time. Okay, so with that in mind, the analysis now is very, very simple. Okay, so what industry people will do is just this. They will simply say this is VDD, only one capacitor here, that is CO, this is VO, and here we will write RP, but RP in the linear region only. Linear region में जो resistance रहेगा वही. Okay, so what is the expression for VOT for that? This is RC network anyway. Anyway, let's do it. VDD minus VO by RP is equal to, this is plus, remember this is the current which is charging of the capacitor, right? Okay, plus CO dVO dt. Okay, ranges 0 to t. जब ये t equal to 0 में, what is the value which we will expect? This is VO. This is charging up. That means CO was initially 0, then it is charging up to VDD. Okay, therefore VOT is equal to, very simple, ln VO minus VDD. Therefore, what do we get here? 1 minus VO by VDD e to the power of minus t by RPCO. Okay, this RPCO is the tau. Okay, from here we will get VOT very simple expression where tau p is equal to RPCO. The catch is this RP will be is equal to how much? As I said, we will only consider the linear region. Okay, this we have essentially chosen the P MOSFET only, but the P MOSFET, as we have seen, it will be number one point was this P MOSFET will be spending most of the duration of this most of the duration of its transition in the linear region of operation. Okay, and also it is going to have two states, saturation and linear. उसमें से कौन सा कम है? Always the linear resistance. Okay, so if it is a linear one, linear ka we have already seen this, that will be equal to twice. I am just replacing this Rn with this Rp over here, twice beta p. What is this VOVP? I'll just put here similarly, Rp in the linear will be how much? 1 upon twice beta p VOVP. Okay, so I'm not copying this again. VOVP matlab VSGP minus mod of VTP. VSGP क्या है? VDD minus VA. Correct? Now, so this approximation idea that we will choose the resistance which is the minimum between the saturation and the linear one. Okay, very good. So what is the most important part is we are essentially getting a very simple expression of VO over here just by the RC equivalent. But how correct is it? How accurate is it? Notice the tau p expression which we got over here. Let's copy this. And it will come to the very beginning. Now tell me whether it is correct or not. Notice when we are speaking about the rise time, what is the value of Vi? Hello?
0.
0. Excellent. So अगर हम Vi को अब 0 बिठाते हैं ना, that is the exact value of tau p which we calculated after so much of calculation. ठीक है? So that means this small approximation, this trick which industry essentially is using is so much effective. After doing 2 or 3 lectures on this, whatever we have got as the time period, I mean rise time, fall time calculations and everything, that industry has done it using this small thing. But of course, all right, I will tell you what is the inaccuracy over here. I will come to that. But as far as industrial approximation is concerned, we have noticed that um, since I'll just write it here. This Vi is equal to 0. Remember. Okay. Now we will come to the like fault time wala expression. Now the question which I will be asking you soon, because fault time I am just doing it for some of you who may be slightly kind of little bit confused. For them, I will do for the uh, fault time analysis, industrial approximation for the fault time analysis. But those of you who have already understood this, you know how we are going to develop the equations and everything for the fault time. Okay. But the question I'll be immediately asking is that since tau p, and I will be showing that tau n is exactly matching the expression for the tau n which we derived for um, exactly accurate calculations. But what is important for us to understand is where is the approximation introducing the error. जैसे कि tau p tau n तो हमारा तो एक ही आ गया, exactly is the same, right? Then in that case, where is the problem with this? Because it is an approximation, there must be some erroneous, right? Some inaccuracy will be there. Where is that inaccuracy involved? Before that, you just think about it, those of you who are already understanding this clearly. All right, so let's just do this exercise for the fault time also. Rn, again, I'll be choosing the linear. That is the industrial approximation, as I said. I'll not call it the effective. Let me just call it R out, maybe. Yeah. So, ठीक है ना? I'll call it ID because it is now the drain current of N MOSFET. यहाँ पर IS लिखे थे because it is the source current for the P MOSFET. Okay, सही है. तो फिर what is the case here? Very simple. VO minus 0 by Rn. It is a discharging current, so minus CO dVO dt. Cool. यहाँ से क्या मिलेगा? So this is the fault time. So initially it will be VDD going to VO. This is 0 going to T. Okay. What does it imply? ln VO by VDD. Okay. Now tau n is equal to Rn CO. Rn is again the linear value. Okay. तो इसका linear वाला expression कहाँ है? 1 upon twice beta n VOVN. Okay. So I'll just put like that. Twice. VOVN will be how much? VGSN minus VTN. VGSN will be I'll just remove this. Okay, as you can see, VDD minus VTN ऊपर चले जाओ. यहाँ पर क्या था? Twice beta n VTD minus VTN ऊपर CO. That's okay. Sorry, the CO will be. Okay, so this is exactly matching with this. CO by twice beta n VDD minus VTN. CO by twice beta n VDD minus VTN. Okay, so now who will tell me what is the so just understand that how much valid, if somebody asks you in the interview, how much valid is the industrial standard approximation? industry standard approximation is. Of course, you are taking this approximation, R out is equal to only the minimum of the two. Okay, so and this is possible because the two transistors will spend most of its transition duration will be in the linear region of operation. Okay, very good. But since this is an approximation, what are the problems? Notice this approximation will not even hold if somehow the tau n or tau p expressions were wrong. But what we figured is this is a very much valid approximation and correct also as far as the timing is concerned. क्योंकि आपका ये tau p and tau n are remaining the same, and the rest of the things, if you notice, TB and all that, T1, T2, T3, all this, they will always be remaining the same only. Okay, so that is the reason why this industry standard has stuck. Like everyone is not bothering about the 3 or 4 lectures which I delivered. So this industry standard works well. But what is the problem with this? As far as timing is concerned, there is no problem. So where is the problem? Anyone?
Sir, if we
हाँ बोलो.
sir, if we substitute t is equal to tau p in v naught expressions, then it will be different
Exactly.
from the
Exactly.
one.
That means what? Exactly. That basically it means that the output voltage values are wrong. Okay. Clearly, as you can see, that's why I kept it over here. This is a simple expression for VOT. This is basically what? This is a simple RC network here. Charging, discharging of a capacitor. Whereas the exact value of VO, I did not do it today, I think. Yeah, previous classes. If you notice, these are much more complicated equations. Okay. However, once we have decided the noise margin, कि हमारा ये x will be VDD, x 10% ही रहेगा, then essentially we don't have to bother about these exact values of VO anymore. VO say these equations and all this will be helpful to find out this VOH and VOL, right? So once the VOH and VOL is determined, कि नहीं मुझे 10% ही काम चल जाएगा, considering the noise margin things. ठीक है? Then you don't have to bother about the exact values of the VO anymore. Then you should be bothered about TB and tau p, T1 and T2. Rise time fall time से ही मेरा मतलब concern है. ठीक है ना? That is the reason why in industries, once they will essentially determine the noise margin. That will be one of the main specifications. Okay. Once the noise margin is determined, that will essentially give you a which is the percentage of VDD for the low and high logic. So once this X is determined, then you don't have to bother about the exact values of VO anymore. Yes or no? Then what you need to do is you should be bothered about the T1, T2 for the rise time, fall time, and all those stuff. तो उसके लिए आप we can simply use the simple approximation only. Correct. Very good. So the rest of the things which you already know. Okay. Now if we say 10% for 10%, 90% wala, so rise time for, so I'll just write here. Okay. Okay. Here I shall write here approximate calculation of, this is something all of you know, but I am just finishing it off as a revision. कैसे करेंगे, सबको पता है। सपोज इंडस्ट्री ऐसे 10% से काम बन जाता है, ठीक है, then the moment you know that it is 10%, you don't have to bother about all this VO and all that. But suppose in a specific application you have to determine whether it should be 10% should be sufficient or 5% should be sufficient, या फिर 25% should be sufficient, then you have to go through the value of VO. Okay, then you have to go through the value of VO, and then with the value of VO you are essentially going to find out then you have to find out the value of VOL and then the noise margin and all those things. ठीक है, but as a rule of the thumb 10% is good enough. तो अगर 10% हमें पता है, then we will simply put 0.9 VDD is equal to rise time fall time. ठीक है, simple. rise time अगर निकालना है, then 0.9 VDD कब आएगा? As you can see 0.9 VDD will be for T2, right? So very good. So VDD 1 minus e to the power of minus T2 by tau. Okay, I'll just replace VO by 0.9 VDD, and that will happen at T2. Just notice, just understand this, that this is essentially the T2 instance. Okay, rise time की बात कर रहा हूँ. All right, then from there, very simple, will be 1 minus 0.9. Okay, therefore T2 will be equal to how much? ln 1 upon 10, that is ln 10. Okay, then T1 वाला instance कब आएगा? I am not, for example, I did the same thing towards the beginning of today's lecture. We have essentially found out ये क्या मतलब इतना कुछ, but here you can see this is so compact, so easy. यहाँ पर point VDD instance will come when it is T1 e to the power of minus T1 by tau p. VDD cancel. 1 minus 0.1 is 0.9. I'm sorry. This is going to be tau p ln 10. Okay, let's check this out. Point 197. Okay, this is something which you must have known in your VLSI design. Similarly, TF कैसे निकालेंगे? Again, two things. Initially, it is going to be T3 will be for 0.9 VDD. Okay, so 0.9 VDD. E to the power of, I'm just copying from this equation, T3 by tau n cancel. This will be how much? 0.9. T3 will be equal to ln this will be 0.1 VDD. E to the power of minus T4 by tau n is equal to is equal to 0.1. I'm sorry, this is tau n. Tf is equal to, again, T4 minus T3. Okay, so for just rough hand calculations, this 2.2 tau n, 2.2 tau p is good enough. But whenever you want to figure out this noise margin issues, कि VOH, VOL क्या होगा, okay, depending on the particular application, you have to essentially go through this exercise of finding the VO value as it is varying with time. Okay. All right. So that completes our discussion on the switching analysis of the inverters. And from tomorrow's lectures, we are going to uh, do a new analysis. I think I'll start with the power. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. That's all for today.